All right, we're live on Facebook. Hey, everybody, happy Friday. Happy Friday. This is a really special conversation on a Friday afternoon. If you're catching us live, let us know. We're excited. I'm Lisa Blaisdell coming to you with a special Friday Live with two amazing women that are in my life. One was by choice, and the other is like a great family member that you get to meet along the journey. So my dear friend Sarah Campos and her cousin, who we are all partnered with together now, Katie Barnett, we are so excited. And we want to talk to you guys today about things that I think are so important to women, so important to women in business, so important to families. And that is being resilient, coming together, and choosing to lean into a better life, no matter what your circumstances are. I mean, aren't these all great topics that everybody wants to get better at? I know I do. So we're gonna start. I want to first introduce my dear friend Sarah, who is just like a gift from above that we met at the gym. we don't even have a sexy story. We don't have a sexy story, but we have a meaningful story. And that Jackson is the reason we met and fell in love with you immediately. Felt like you were like the sister that was not a part of my daily life, even though you are younger than me, 10 years younger than me, and older than my oldest daughter. And we have all come together as a family. And Sarah, when I think of you, I'll try not to get emotional, but you are truly the strongest, the bravest, and the most resilient person that I know. And enduring the deepest loss that a mother can endure and choosing to live and to keep moving forward despite the most difficult circumstances that any human being can face. And so I would love for you to share what your journey has looked like in the last year about choosing yourself, choosing your family, and choosing to be resilient despite all the worst possible odds. So
Absolutely.
yes, so I'm just going to set it up right there.
I know I'm trying to compose myself. That was a great introduction. Thank you, Lisa. Yes. So as Lisa said, we met and instantly it was like a connection. You don't always get to choose your family, but you get to choose your friends. And she is really become part of my family. And so honored to have her in my life. And as she was saying, our family has gone through quite a bit the past couple years, and there was some big decisions that had to be made on my part. Losing your son after you just gave birth to another child is pretty rough, but despite all that, with a lot of hard work and a lot of great women supporting me, I had choices to make. And the choices that I needed to make were choices I didn't want to make, but I did. And so for me, choosing to live life after loss was huge for me. And, once I could see past the dark and kind of see a little bit of the light at the end of that tunnel, my goal in life was to help other women in this unfortunate situation. And just really, it opened my mind to this whole possibility of women helping women and how I couldn't have done any of my change and my growth without the amazing women in my life. And so there were big choices and hard choices I made, and that's what I did. So I just leaned in to these women who have brought so much to my life and have given me passion and joy and purpose again, so I can provide that for my two earthbound children and for any woman who needs to be inspired. I mean, growing up there, I don't remember women having such a voice, and right now today I think it is so important that we do. And this collective crazy group that we have going is insane and on fire, and I am so stoked to be a part of it. And I feel like a little kid again, and my life is like boof, like mind blowing. And so for me, what gives me strength and my purpose are always been my kids. So I know my son's looking down from me above, being like, Mom, you rock. And that's all I want. I want to make my kids proud wherever they are. So that's my jam. And I'll introduce my amazing cousin Katie, who has literally lit this fire under me, and it is constantly burning me to grow and do bigger things. And I'm just so pumped on this whole thing we have going on. So Katie?
Where do I even start? Where am I supposed to start? Seriously, I don't like, I feel like I've just like gone on a roller coaster of emotions.
Everybody have a good night. Bye. Sarah, you're amazing.
Okay, yes. Sarah, I don't even know. Like, I feel like that was just a mic drop and we call it, I'm like, my heart is like pounding right now. Yeah, so Sarah and I are cousins and I started this, like, you know, I fell into direct sales a while ago and it lit something up in me, you know, and for the most part, it was getting like exactly what Sarah was saying, getting to help other women, getting to, you know, lead and excite people and watch people succeed. But, you know, in all of that, we lost Jackson. And that was, I mean, for our family, everything else aside, for our family, that was, I mean, it shifted everything for everybody. You know, there's not like a second of that time that I have forgotten, you know, and I mean, I know that's the way it is for everyone. And Sarah and I, you know, I just, you never have any idea what to say or who to be in that place, but it did bring Sarah and I closer together. And in all of that, Sarah was really supporting my business and we were connected through that, you know, and obviously in every other way, because we've always just kind of been connected souls, I think. But right, Sarah, we're like
Totally.
we're like, how are we not like together all the time?
I'm like, when am I moving?
But like so as soon as I saw that Sarah was sharing something, I of course was like, whatever, just tell me what to buy. I'm there. You know, I trust you. Just tell me what to buy. And then kind of as I was going and sharing my code, because I love sharing codes, I'm just sharing codes all over the place. You want dry shampoo, you want this, that, whatever. Like, I love it. You love it. Everybody uses it. I realized that, like, you know, I wanted to know a little bit more, like just a little bit. Like, I just wanted to understand a little bit more. Like, I didn't.
Curious. You're like, I'm not going to do anything about it, but I'm kind of curious.
No,
Yeah.
never. Because I wanted Sarah to join me on my journey, you know. I was like, come on, you do this with me. And so I'm like, hey, okay, just explain this to me. And she's like, let me, you got to talk to my uplines. And I'm like, I'm not talking, there were cuss words. Like, Sarah and I both have really dirty mouths, but I'm not going to
Totally.
It's one of the major things we could have done. I'm like, don't you dare put me on a call with your uplines, right? Like, I'm not going anywhere. I have way too much. Like, I've got too much. I would never. And she's like, no, you don't get it. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I need help explaining it to you.
So Katie, for the people who maybe don't know, I mean, you were a top leader with another company. You had a team of over 1,500 women. I mean, and just in talking to you, I know how much you love these women, and, you know, change aside, like giving up what you built and what you created, putting all that aside, which that's huge. I mean, what I heard you say throughout the conversations that we did eventually start to have was that you loved this team and you could not imagine not working with this team that you built. You love these girls. Like, you had such, you know, you guys were a family. Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that you were still willing to be brave and still willing to lean into something bigger for yourself and hope that your team would come was a huge risk. I mean, you took a huge risk in that. Was.
Yeah, it was
even starting to have the conversations is a big, it's scary.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do it. And then, you know, what happened was I said to Sarah, like, you realize you could be making a lot of money. Because in the past I had heard about Modere, and I had heard about, like, I'd seen some of their comp plan things, and I'm like, you know, and just knowing this business in general, like, you can work and make a lot of money. And she was like, yeah, that's what they say. And so it kind of just like, there was just this like fire in me that burned, that was like, what if we could do this together? Like, how much more is that? And you're right. My team, like, they know how much I love them, and they changed my world. They, you know, they've saved me during dark times. And I mean, I believe that they still know how much I love them, but I could not ignore what, like, I knew to be the right thing for
Right.
me.
Right.
You know, and for us and for everything, but, like, you know, it was a decision that I made for myself. And honestly, I mean, mom for 9 years, and just, I honestly don't know. It may have been like the first major decision that I ever made for
Mhm.
myself, to be
Right.
completely honest.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Yes, I can relate to that, Katie. I can relate to that because you kind of fall into all these roles that we have as parents, and we kind of go through the steps of life. But to make a major change that's going to impact your whole family and a community that you created, that you love,
yeah.
and a culture that you love and that you're used to and that you're good at. And that's a big piece of it too. You're good. You're good at it.
Hmm.
And to go into something completely unknown, I mean, it takes guts. It takes guts. And what you two both share is that although your stories are totally different, the circumstances are obviously completely different, but you both chose to lean into something bigger.
Right.
For different reasons and for different circumstances, but and now together, you guys are choosing to pursue and to lean into something so much bigger, which is why we
And
wanted
we
to
have
talk
this,
today.
like, amazing group of women with us who are all like, they're like, sure, yeah, let's level up. Let's see what.
It's insane what's happening right now with your teams. I'm having a hard time keeping up, to be honest. And I'm
Well,
usually someone that can keep up pretty well.
I'm having a very difficult time keeping up, but it's the best place to be.
Well, and I think
Totally.
what I fell in love with about Sarah, and I used to tell my oldest this when we would talk about Sarah. I mean, we talk about her all the time in like good ways, is that Sarah's the most, like, up until like I've met much more authentic women, but I felt like Sarah was so authentic. I mean, you are authentic, Sarah. It's like, that's it. Like, I could tell you anything, and I do, and I do, and not feel judged, and not feel like anything, and we can have a conflict or a conversation that's uncomfortable, and we come back to each other. Like, I feel like there's that level of authenticity and realness, and Katie, you have that too. And
Totally.
that is what, like, I'm feeling now that I'm getting to know your team and your general, your community that you're building, that you're rebuilding here. I mean, it's massively authentic. And I'm reading a really great book by Jamie Kern Lima, who created It Cosmetics. It's called
Mm.
Believe It. It's a huge cosmetic company. Man, talk about resilience. That chick is resilient. And she has a whole chapter about being authentic. I mean, this is a woman who's curvy, who didn't have good skin. She's selling makeup. She's in this makeup industry. It's hugely competitive and, fiercely, bitchy and all that. And she talked about authenticity. And she said, being authentic doesn't guarantee your success, but not being authentic absolutely will guarantee that you're not going to be successful. And you guys are just like fiercely authentic, and I love that about what you're creating. I mean, Katie, how you show up everywhere is like consistent.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just so much easier than trying to be something else, right? I mean, it's like how they say, like, it's just easier to tell the truth
It
and
is.
remember a lie. Like,
Yep.
and it's true. I think and for whatever reason, it can be really difficult for people to step into themselves,
Yep.
Totally.
but like, you do that, and it's just, you give up, whether you have to give up how you feel about how people are gonna take you.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it's a really freeing thing when you do it.
And that's what I feel like is so cool too, is because I mean, just the way I am, when I'm passionate and I love something, like I love Modere, I want to find people who are like authentic like me, who will share that same compassion for this product. Because the cool thing about it is it works, right? The product actually works. And the people in this business all, I feel like, fall under the same umbrella. wanting other people to win, wanting other people to succeed. And it's coming from a place from within, from everyone, that it's a true, it's like my heart is like raging for it, you know? And I think that's like when you said, Katie, like we've always had a connection. It's because there's no bullshit with us. It's straight up like, this is what you get. And we're real people
Yeah.
who want to help real people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's so good. It's so good. So what would you say, Katie, to women who are, like feeling that, like we talked a lot about it when you first came over last month, like listening to the roar of your heart, Justin told that story about like you really, because it was hard. I mean, I know it was hard. You had some really hard days where you were, going through the emotions of all this, but at the end of the day, you chose to lean into your inner knowing, listening to the roar of your heart. Like, what would you say to women that are, no matter what, where they are in life, like doesn't have to be in a business or whatever, but they're, to just like you listen to your instincts and you went for it. So what would you say to women that are maybe thinking about something or wanting to make a change or level up in any way?
I mean, it just comes down to now is now. I mean, you learn that when something, horrible happens in your life, when something, I mean, like, for example, Sarah's husband was in the hospital for however long and had his leg, and she's like, everything's fine. He, bike accident. And I'm like, Sarah, like,
I know.
Like,
you handled that very well.
I've handled worse, like this, it's just fine.
Right.
Now is now. You get one life. You get one chance. You get one summer with your kids being 7. You get one, year of being, 37. And it's like, and I don't ever want to feel like I just like sat and was complacent, and I mean, that's fine. Maybe if that's what you want to do is just sit, like, then do that. Do what makes you like,
right.
To you. But this was a huge decision. It was going to impact my family a lot. I obviously had to think long and hard about it, but I also just like had a knowing.
Right.
Had a knowing. I mean, does anybody know about like what Glennon Doyle, she talked about the knowing, like this was my knowing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't ignore this. And, it was like, can you just wait? And my husband was like, maybe if you, and I'm like, I can't, like, I literally can't, because I would be lying.
Yeah.
I would be lying to myself, to my people. I wouldn't be authentic anymore.
Yep.
This is what has to happen. And so, in that, like, when I decided to lean into that, to give up on the fear, to like believe in my knowing, sorry, I don't know what else to call it. Like, that's what it was.
It's I love that. I love that.
And when I did it, it was like a weight. And it was like, I know people are going to be hurt. I know they're going to be sad. I know that it wasn't lost on me.
Right.
But it was clear that like, this was right.
Yep.
And it was the lightest I've ever felt, knowing that I was just doing exactly what I needed to do.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And now here we are, and you guys are both having Sarah, you're having your biggest month ever.
Totally.
You're about to crush like a major significant goal. It's only your second month with this new company. And it's so amazing when we do hard things and we take on new things that seem really scary. I mean, and it seems so cliche. You hear this over and over. Everything you want's on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of your comfort zone, all this stuff, but it really is. it really is. And, you're working, but it's just been so exciting to see all these amazing women. I mean, win and win and win and win. I mean, you're celebrating new promotions on your team every single day.
It's like
every minute,
a few minutes. I'm like,
yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, it's so exciting. And that's why I made the change, almost 8 months ago, because I wanted this for other women. And we could have never imagined that it would work out in this way. And I'm just so honored that I get to work with you guys and get to know these amazing women that you're bringing into my world. And I'm just so grateful that Sarah was open and said yes, and I made her do a story on my couch about the lip serum. We had so much fun that day. I was like, you're
Well,
signing up.
Well, that's the crazy thing is like, I just buy like, you know, what you tell me, because I know all your stuff is natural, clean, good. And then when I like looked into this, I think my thing holding me back before was my fear. Like you just touched on that. And the voice in my head telling me I can't do this, or I know I don't need to do this because I do hair. But you know what? It's not about that. It's so much more than selling a product. It's building a foundation and a platform for people to win, succeed, and not everyone wants, like parents want their kids to win in school. Parents want their kids to win in sports. You know, your kids need to win to feel good. And I think people, especially in this time right now in our crazy world, like you need, that fear is so heavy and so strong, and people need to feel like they can win and succeed, that they have purpose. And by doing that and to level up and getting those tools to just do whatever their dreams are, you know? And I think people kind of forgot that this past year. Like, I don't even know what my dreams are. I don't know what my purpose is anymore. And that's a really scary time.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I know it was for me, and that was my experience. And let me just be honest, and I've told you ladies this a million times, like I never in a million years after what I went through thought I'd be sitting here having a conversation like this. And I feel guilty sometimes saying it, but I am living my best life today. I just have a little piece of me that's not currently in the flesh with me, but is always with me. You know what I mean? Like, in everything I do, it's just, I don't let fear control me anymore.
Sarah.
I don't. I can't.
I got nothing after that. No, you don't. You don't. And you know what? How freeing, how freeing. And I really hope that this message falls on the right people's ears today, because this life is precious and it's short and we don't know what's coming tomorrow. And to live a life that's free of fear and to just really living into your knowing and living bigger than what you think you even can. That's what we're put here to do. That's what we're put here to do. So I love you girls so much. This was really special. I know a lot of people are going to watch this into the weekend, so they can reach out to you girls for more inspo and ukulele sessions.
And did you see that I tagged you in my friend's kids ukulele thing that dressed up as their heroes for school? Is that the coolest thing?
Love it.
I love these little women. I love seeing these women just at age 6 fire it up.
So good. So
I know,
good.
I love it.
I love you guys.
All right, love you.
Thanks for watching. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.